Hey there, just want to talk a little bit about stance in MMA. In traditional martial arts, stance is always a really big thing, especially for beginners. It's a foundational, fundamental kind of part of martial arts. And there's a lot of dogmatic stuff out there, like you must stand like this, a karate person stands, very side on, and I think a lot of this is missing the point. Everybody has different anthropomorphy with different length of femur to lower leg ratio, and so how you stand has to be a function of what's comfortable for you to deliver your best techniques. That said, MMA stance is going to be different to a boxing stance, it's going to be different to a Muay Thai stance. But that's all relative to my boxing stance, my Muay Thai stance, my wrestling stance. So let's have a quick look at a boxing stance to begin with. Boxing stance is going to be nice and wide, my feet are going to be angled. I'm going to make sure that between me and my opponent I've got hand, forearm, shoulder, all between me and the opponent and my chin. So this is my nice side-on boxing stance. For Muay Thai, I'm going to bring myself much more square on. Makes it much easier for me to check kicks coming around on that side, and it presents me with a much more upright, a much more tall stance that I'm going to use for my Muay Thai kickboxing. Wrestling, again, it's going to be even more squared up. I'm going to defend my lead leg, and I'm going to have my front arm probing towards their head, measuring space, doing whatever I want with that lead arm. So there's my wrestling stance, here's my Muay Thai stance, and here's my boxing stance with the arm, high forearm position. Okay, so where does that leave MMA? Okay, to put it very simply in a algorithmic way, it wants to be shorter than your boxing stance, wider than your Muay Thai stance, lower than your Muay Thai stance, because you want to get to your base down a little bit, but higher than your wrestling stance. So what does that look like? On one more point, I want to aim for MMA, I want to aim my lead foot directly at the opponent, so again, it's easier when I want to go and check those kicks. Okay, so my lead leg is facing my opponent, my rear leg is not quite as far back as it might be for a boxing or karate stance, my heel is off the ground, my knees are bent. In terms of my hips, the angle that my hips are at, I don't want to tilt my hips out too far, but I want to just think there might be a takedown coming, and that just twists my hips back a little bit, almost imperceptibly. Okay, here's my high forearm position, my defensive fist covering my chin. There's a nice MMA stance. Now, of course, you've got to remember that there are as many MMA stances as there are MMA fighters. A fighter like Carlos Condit has a very hunched over upper body, and this suits his style of fighting. That's part of his stance, that's his posture. Another fighter like Jorge Masvidal might stand a lot more upright and a lot more vertical. They're both MMA fighters, so they're both using MMA stances, but they're adapting those stances for their particular anthropomorphy and the particular techniques that they like to throw. So again, you've got to explore the different martial arts to learn what's out there, what the options are, and then focus on making the bits that are uniquely yours, so that you're really good at them, you're comfortable with them, and you're confident from all those different positions. Okay, till next time, Team Hardcore.